Welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Job. I'm Ron Worley.
And I'm Josh Fullenweider.
Fuck your job.
And action.
Hey, I'm Josh Fullenweider.
Ron Worley.
And this is the Fuck Your Job podcast.
Yeah, another episode.
I
here. I think we're on like number 13 now.
Yeah.
That's 13 weeks.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah. And people are still watching, which is more impressive.
Like four of you.
Yeah. What's that say about you guys?
Right. So what have you been up to, Josh? It's been a few weeks since we've actually met.
Yeah.
You've got some things going on.
Yeah. So, me personally, obviously, the business is on hold while COVID's going around.
Right.
So that's been a bummer, but what are you going to do?
You're just going to hang out and wait for it to happen.
Yeah, so waiting for the world to reopen. With that, though, we've taken the opportunity. Some new commercial spaces have opened up because places have kind of struggled and been going out of business. So been looking at some different commercial spaces to see if there's something better out there than what we had kind of settled on. We hadn't signed a lease yet, so might as well take the opportunity to see what's out there.
Well, and I think that's important you say that because if you remember 2008, we had a crisis and a lot of people made out.
Yeah. And I was actually meaning to ask you about that because I was reading the other day that nationwide, not necessarily here on the Front Range, but nationwide, I had been hearing that prices on homes were expected to slide about 5%. You hear anything like that?
So that's what they always say. That is America, but that is not Colorado. It may slide a couple of percent, I think. And we are seeing some drops, but it's not on what everybody wants it to be. It's not on your $300,000 home. It's $400,000 and above. It's a little bit more of a market that we can negotiate on if you're a buyer. We're dropping about $5,000 to $10,000 on asking prices right now.
Well, and what I never understood, because they never tell you how they come up with the metric. Is it that this Colorado's not declining, New York's declined 20% and Vegas is down 30%, but then other places are up 10%?
Right.
And then the dollar amount, are they just taking all the dollars and averaging it, or are they finding the average for each market? So
I believe they're finding the market for the average for each market in Colorado. To be honest with you, the comparison to the national average, we're always higher by a couple of percent, and we don't drop as drastic. So in 2008, we did drop. We had it was horrible for us here in Colorado, but
it was good for me. I bought a lot.
Right. Me too. But the actual slide was the slide backwards. We had less than most of America. Mm-hmm. So, and that's because we just get 18 to 30,000 people a month that come into Colorado. So, we're going to have a shortage of inventory for a long time, probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your places that we're getting people moving from still have prices that are still higher than us.
Right.
So even those markets can drop 20% and they're still double the cost here.
Yep, exactly. Well, and I've been asked a million times, should we be selling? Should we be? The fact is we should not be selling. Mm-hmm. The market is still strong. Even if it dropped 5%, great, that's a good time to buy. But it's not a huge drop, and if it's only 2 or 3 in Colorado, it's really not a large drop.
No,
you're talking $3,000 per 300. So
and I always heard that as long as you can make the payments, why would you sell? And it doesn't
exactly.
And really, the only times the price of your home or an investment property really matter is when you buy it and when you sell it.
Sure.
It can fluctuate a lot in between.
Right.
So
it's kind of like the stock market.
Yeah. Is it disappointing when you look at a home you paid $400,000 for and now all of a sudden it's worth $350,000? Yeah. But if you're not going to move for another few years, it's probably going to go back to $400,000 or $450,000. So
that's true. That's why that's why it's timing, right?
Yeah.
So Aaron and I just sold. We bought in the worst of times and we sold at the peak, but we missed it by a year. and it cost us $400,000.
Oh, you think if you tried to get your house on the market a year
So
earlier?
that's what I fight with her about every time. We should have put it on the market a year prior.
Yeah.
You can edit that out because I'm gonna get in trouble.
I just sold a couple of rental properties, and I wasn't really wanting to sell them, but it was time. I didn't see them appreciating at the rate they had appreciated, but I didn't want to fix them up.
Right.
So I just knew a couple investors and said, hey, if as long as you'll take them as is, here you go.
Right.
So, I took a $50,000 haircut on both of those, but I didn't have to fix them up.
Right.
And then market them and deal with tenants and listings at the same time.
And real estate agents.
On a threeplex and a fourplex, in my opinion, I would prefer to sell them empty.
Right.
There's a lot to be said about, hey, here you go, the tenants, here's the rental history, everything like that. You've already got a stream of income in there. Banks like that better too.
Yep.
But as far as showings go, God, it's a pain in the ass.
Oh, of course.
So
it's just easier. It probably you broke even because $50,000.
Yeah.
That's easy to pay your real estate.
That's a commission and
yeah.
So I didn't really. And it worked out for everybody. Right. They got it for $50,000 cheaper. Granted, you didn't get a commission out of it, Ron. So, so I got about what I would have gotten out of it. So
it's a good thing I am well-roundedly.
But I was going to say also, going back to that percentage drop, a $5,000 drop in home values here is nothing.
Right.
That's a rounding error. But I've got some properties in South Carolina that are only worth $40,000.
Wow.
If you lose $4,000 a decline in value, that's a 10% drop.
Right, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but again,
that's a big difference.
It just goes down to when you sell it. So.
Right. Yep. So recently, man, I just had something on the tip of my tongue I was going to bring up.
Oh.
Darn it. Oh, so recently I had a young lady. She's my age, young lady. Her father passed away, and she's bequeathed this house, and now it's time to get rid of the house. Mm-hmm. And she came to me and asked me to either figure out how to sell it or we can invest in it. Mm-hmm. Well, the house is pretty tore up. Mm-hmm. But because the way the market is in that market, the house is worth maybe $285 if it was brand new.
Okay.
So hot market,
right?
Gonna sell quickly, mm-hmm. but it's destroyed.
Oh.
Not upstairs. It was. I mean, she lived in it. It's a nice old home from the 50s or 40s.
Mostly cosmetic stuff.
Mostly cosmetic. They tore out some stuff they shouldn't have. Like we got there's a boiler, things like that. Anyways, long story short, I could sell it for her, and she would only call it $210, $220. Mm-hmm. And then she's got to pay fees out of that, or go to an investor and say, hey, how much would you give us? Well, our sellers today all think their properties are worth so much money that she wants to get $240 out of it because that's the number she's looking for. But an mm-hmm. investor who has to fix it up and sell it just to get it to $240 has got to put $30,000 in it. So he's wanting it for $170. Yeah. And so and she's stuck now because that ain't gonna work for her, $170. Yeah. But I think that's important to mention when you're talking about what the market's like right now. It's just shitholes out there that's available. So there's not a lot of there's not a lot out there for flipping anymore. Yeah, at least at those lower dollars, because that's what I specialized in, were low value homes, right? Entry level homes. Some of the homes that I've invested in, even the single family home that I invested in, it was more anybody who bought it would likely turn around and rent it to somebody versus live in it themselves. I mean, all my stuff in South Carolina, if I sold it, I'd be selling it to investors. Right. So everybody, I guess, knowing that going into it, I'm aware that I'm not going to get top dollar. Right. But it looks really good on my balance sheet for a while. Sure. I can say it's worth so much. Well, and I think with the Corona stuff, the rental market, people aren't buying rentals. Is this a good time to buy a rental, or?
If you can buy it right, yeah.
Well, that's always the case, but what's happening out there, do you know?
So evictions are on hold and have been on hold. April, May, looking at possibly being through June here in Colorado. Nationwide, I know there's a lot of different ones. If you financed your rental with a federally backed mortgage, so FHA or Fannie Mae or something like that, and the camera's freaking out. Okay, I don't know what was going on there. But if you financed it with one of those, you essentially, because you are able to get a forbearance on that easily, they're turning around and saying, well, if you're going to apply for a forbearance, your renters get a forbearance as well.
Right.
So
Awesome.
yeah, I don't have anything financed like that, so well, that's kind of nice. But yeah, it's fun when the government says, oh, your private contract that you created is now null and void, and
Yeah.
well, they're going to tell you what
Get
you're
all
gonna,
up in that communism.
yeah,
All
pretty
right.
much.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So
Just kidding.
Is it a good time to buy properties? Yeah, because I think there's some new landlords out there who bought in the last year that are going to panic.
Yeah.
That's really where I think it's going to be, is that people are panicking. And really, it's people that shouldn't be investing in properties in the first place.
Right.
They don't have the reserves. They don't have the knowledge.
Yep. And I had a friend call the other day that was panicking, and I had to calm him down. I should sell. And
Yeah.
no, it's your house you live in. You're not going to do any better than that. So you
Yeah.
might as well just pay the freaking mortgage.
Yeah, you're going to pay for your house, or you're going to turn around and rent and pay
Right.
for somebody else's house. So,
It's always better to own your own stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else are you seeing for houses for sale? Anything good coming on the market?
Well, I don't know about good coming on the market. It seems like the house qualities are getting lower and the prices are getting higher. So, but we are seeing the market between 400,000 and up. That is becoming the new norm. It's interesting, and between water prices and shortages, I mean, a $400,000 house isn't much anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I've got a house that we need to look at later.
Okay.
So,
For flipping?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Let's do it.
nice little 4-acre parcel. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I may even have a buyer for that.
Okay. Well, I've got it on my
Stay
phone.
tuned.
Yeah, we might have a follow-up to this episode.
We'll go out and do that. We'll do an episode of going out and looking at that.
Sure.
And selling it.
Yeah, and I don't know, because it's older, but it seems like there could be a profit there if we can fix it up right.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds good. These are just my Clark Kent glasses. I'm just going to start wearing these to do the show.
I actually need glasses to see.
I know. I'm not making fun of him. All right. So,
We should really get your buddy Josh on here so we can talk about mortgage rates sometime.
yeah, we should.
Because I know they're low right now. I know it's a good time to refinance right
I've
now.
been trying to hold off because I didn't want to offend anybody else that I'm friends with that is in the
Ooh, that's
mortgage
fair.
business.
Okay.
So just be aware if you're watching this and you get offended, call us. We'll just have you on.
We'll just feature you.
Yeah.
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 We just
talk about
We
stuff.
can't have any other real estate agents on unless it's Ron's wife.
I use that term loosely. Wife? I'm just kidding.
You hope she doesn't watch this episode.
She won't. Trust me. She won't watch shit. All right.
Join us on Facebook at The Jobless Legion, or subscribe to our YouTube channel and like, comment, and share.
So that we can get the message out to aspiring entrepreneurs just like you.
Thank you.